swing, 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 swing. Hi, Mama.
Hello everybody, Sabrina here. This video is going to be a little different from my normal ones. This is going to be one of my videos that I'm doing for a week of third trimester videos, I guess we can call it. I don't know. I don't really think I have a name for it yet, but that's sort of what it is. Today I wanted to do a video on my top 10-ish, I think I got like 12 or so items, of things that I do to prepare for labor. This is not a list for preparing for the baby in terms of getting the clothes ready or the bed or the nursery or any of those things. This is a list discussing what I do to physically prepare and mentally prepare my body and myself for what is one of the most amazing and the most difficult tasks that I have done in my life. Item number 1, be ready to go over. Okay, one of the biggest things that I see in a lot of the posts I've seen from different moms online is the whole, I'm getting close to my due date, why haven't I had this baby yet? And babies come in their own time. A due date is nothing more than a vague idea of when the baby could come. I don't know very many moms that have had their babies on their due date. Actually, there's a couple that have, I know of a few, but usually you go overdue, or you might have the baby early. It goes either way. So be prepared for that, be mentally prepared for that. Instead of saying, my due date is whatever date it is, maybe give yourself a more vague description. Oh, I'm due at the end of this month, the beginning of next month, or I'm due in around this and this time period. Give yourself a couple weeks grace on either side and be prepared to go overdue. Because I tell you, when you go overdue, it's a lot easier if you already kind of expect to do that. It's harder when you're expecting to go in already and now you're just waiting. That last couple of weeks is just really, really hard. So just be prepared for that. Number 2, naps. Naps are very important. I find that in the third trimester, especially near the end of the third trimester, I get very tired. That first trimester exhaustion tends to kind of kick in again. So when you're tired and you sit down to relax for a bit and you notice yourself getting droopy-eyed, whatever it is, try and take some time and just rest. Have a nap if you can. It's difficult when you have kids already. I find it's very tricky, but I'm still able to do it. I find those little moments here and there to get in a few minutes here, a few minutes there, because when you're tired and your body is tired and it's ready to nap, that's when you get that sleep in. I find sleeping at night is for some reason trickier than sleeping during the day. I'm not sure why that is, but it is. Number 3, make sure you're eating lots of nutritious foods. There's a lot of bad food out there and I crave most of it, but our bodies are not properly equipped to handle a lot of the junk that is in a lot of that food, and we cannot garner the amount of nutrition we need to properly equip our bodies for the labor and delivery that is coming. I find that when I'm getting close to labor, or even when I'm in early labor and I don't know, I'm not hungry. Even in the last trimester, I find like your stomach, like everything is being crowded out by the baby in the uterus. So you're not as hungry and you're not eating as much. And so what you're going to need to make sure you do is make sure when you are eating, that you're trying to fill your body with highly nutritious foods and nutritious drinks, beverages. I tend to like to make the smoothies. I know I've talked about smoothies before, but I find that if I'm not hungry, things that are easy to digest, like smoothies, are a great thing to get that nutrition in, to get those carbohydrates in. And when you are in early labor and you're not hungry and you don't want to eat, but you're able to stomach it, I highly suggest eating something anyways. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do it this time, because once again, every labor for me has been completely different from every other one. I have had labors where I have eaten up until, an hour or two before I've gone into having the baby, and there was no problem. I had a whole meal, no issues. I've had a couple where I couldn't eat. I was just not hungry. My last one was one of those. I literally forced food down my throat. For a full 24 hours, I had hardly eaten anything. And knowing that I needed that and forcing it in was actually a good thing for me. I believe it gave me the energy I needed to get through the whole labor and delivery process. Point number 4 also has to do with food. Make sure that you have some food prepared that you can bring with you into the hospital or wherever it is you're giving birth. I know that there's some birth centers in the States, I think. I've seen videos, people talking about going to birth centers. I don't know that they really have them here in Canada. I haven't really heard anything about birth centers in Canada. Usually you just go into the hospital, or you have a midwife, or you can get a doula, which is great. I have never personally done that. I've always just gone to the hospital, and my doctors have all been fantastic. I have a new doctor this time. But the hospitals and birth centers may not have food available to you. So it is in your best interest to make sure you have a few things that are that don't need to be refrigerated or anything like that, packed, so that when you are in labor, if all of a sudden you are hungry, which you might be, you can eat. And once labor is done, quite often you will find yourself famished after a short while after labor, and depending upon the timing, you may not have any food available to you except whatever you've packed. So if you have something that you can pack, you can bring along, and it's right there for you, instead of having to wait however long it takes for your spouse or your best friend or your sister or your mom or whomever you're having there with you to go and pick something up, you'll be feeling much, much better over it. Especially if you're trying to do nursing, and right after birth, nursing can be very draining. Just so you know, it's wonderful, but yeah, I mean, you're literally draining milk from your body, right? Well, not milk at that point; it's colostrum, but yeah, you get the idea. Number 5, walk. Do a lot of walking. Strengthen those muscles. Do some exercises, things that are okay to do during pregnancy, things that will not cause problems with muscle gaps, separations, and whatnot. I tend to like doing leg lifts or different upper body strength things for the chest and the arms. A lot of leg stuff. I like doing squats. Squats are great for in pregnancy, if your body allows you to do that, because you do have some issues with joints and things that they change a bit when you're pregnant. But I found that squats were great for strengthening and toning those muscles, and a lot of people also talk about doing Kegels. I didn't find that they helped or hindered either way for me. I found walking was my biggest benefit, because it helps you to gain that endurance of motion. It also helps with the lower back a lot, I find anyways. So try and get some exercises in when you can, if you can, a few minutes here, a few minutes there. Just get some movement, keep your muscles keep your muscles strong, because your muscles are going to be benefiting from that later on. Oh, point number 6. This is more so for those of us who have bleeding issues postpartum. I found out after I had my problems with my third that cod liver oil and omega-3, omega-6 oils and things like that actually can cause a thinning of the blood. And while that won't cause a postpartum bleeding problem, it can exacerbate it a little bit. So the recommended cutoff for taking the omega-3s and omega-6s, I believe, was about 4 weeks prior to your due date. I have not been taking cod liver oil now for about a week, even though I expect to go a week over. I decided 36 weeks now I'm cutting off. I'm not taking any more cod liver oil. Look into it yourself. I'm not sure. My memory may be serving me incorrectly here, but that is what I believe I read on cod liver oil. So if you have issues with hemorrhaging or with excess bleeding after the baby is born in the past, or if you're just unsure, I would stop taking cod liver oils and certain oils about 4 weeks prior to your due date. Number 7, get out and continue to do life. Just because your due date has come and gone, or just because you're a week prior to your due date, don't let that stop you from continuing to just do the things that you enjoy doing. Going out, if you like garage sailing, go garage sailing. I was garage sailing the morning I gave birth to my second born. Just get out and do things. Your body will go into labor when it does, and when it does, continue to do stuff. If you're in the early stages of labor, it is very exciting to be in labor. But to stop life because, oh, now I'm in labor, it actually is very frustrating. So just keep going, keep doing life. Time your contractions if you need to. Put it on a phone, an app on your phone or something, and go shopping, go whatever it is. Stay near the hospital if you need, if that's where you're going to be giving birth. Whatever you need to do, just continue to do life. Don't stop everything because you're close to your due date. Nesting, actually, I find, is a great way to keep the mind and body occupied while waiting for labor. I'm usually not interested at all in nesting once I'm in labor because I'm too tired. But get out, do things, have fun still, enjoy your time, be prepared to go into the hospital at a moment's notice if you need to, but don't stop doing life. Number 8, I call this liquid energy. It is very, very important that you keep hydrated. So drinking water can be good, but if you're finding that you're not eating enough, that's when I think it's probably best to maybe get in some smoothies or maybe some coconut water, but it's supposed to be very hydrating. Make sure that you stay hydrated. So coffee is probably not the best thing at that point, but drinking a lot of beneficial fluids can really help with preparing yourself, making sure that you have what you need. Getting dehydrated, I find, just makes everything that much harder. I found when I was more hydrated and I was drinking more liquids and I was keeping up on that, I didn't find things as difficult. I didn't find labor as intense. I'm not sure why that is, but it helped for me. It could have just been those particular labors. I don't know. But staying hydrated was very important. Number 9? Number 9. This one is not as big on the list for me, but I've seen so many people swear by red raspberry leaf tea. I did use red raspberry leaf tea with my 4th baby. It didn't seem to make much of a difference. My labor with her actually was longer than my 3rd, and then it got even longer with my 5th, but his was a breeze in comparison. Hers was really erratic. It was very strange. And I was drinking a red raspberry leaf tea, but I was drinking about 1 liter of this stuff per day for most of my 2nd and 3rd trimester. And it didn't really seem to make a huge difference for me. But that's different once again from person to person. Everybody is different. Every labor is different. It could have made a difference and I just didn't know. So that's something for you to consider yourself. Look into it yourself. See if you like it, if you want to. If your body does not like it, if you're not enjoying it at all, I would say then don't bother with it so much. But I actually really enjoyed the tea and I found it relaxing for me. I liked to drink it. in the evening. So that was great. It also helped me get enough fluids in. So there's that too. Number 10. Oh yeah, and another thing that I've been doing is preparing freezer foods. I find things that I can quickly grab and snack on, throw in the microwave, or even take out of the freezer and place on my bedside table. I did this mostly with my firstborn. I didn't have it so much with my other babies, but with my firstborn, I would pull these. I made cinnamon biscuits. So it's biscuit dough with a cinnamon butter rolled into it like a cinnamon roll. And I would make those and freeze them. And then before bed, I had them all singly wrapped. I would grab one out of my deep freeze, prop it up on my table before I went to sleep. Middle of the night nursing, I could grab it and I could eat it along with like a fruit juice or something, just to help get my energy up. And also it helped to keep me awake while breastfeeding. So that was very beneficial with my first baby. I didn't feel I needed it as much with my others. Not sure why. My milk production also was crazy with my first baby, and I don't feel like it was as high with my others. So that might have had something to do with it. But preparing food in advance and having it in the freezer so you don't have to cook is a lifesaver. Okay, now we're on to one of the big ones for me. Number 11 is preparing your mind. Okay, I found that I had to make sure that I did not have a goal and plan so set in my mind that I was unwilling to change it. Be prepared for change. You do not know what your labor is going to look like. I've had 5 and every single one of them has been completely and utterly different from every other one. So I'm going into this one with a completely open mind. I have no idea if I'm going to be able to deliver this baby the way I have with all the others. I'm hoping for a completely natural vaginal delivery like I've had, but I may need something. I may need to get an epidural. I may find myself in a position where I need a cesarean. I don't know. Be open and be willing to change your birth plan for the sake of yours and your baby's healthy final delivery. Listen to your doctor, listen to your doula, whoever you have there. Also, though, be prepared to know that you might need to state for yourself, no, this is what I really want. And unless it's an emergency or unless it's definitely necessary, I want to try to go this route. If you're finding that you wanted to have a natural labor and you're getting to a point where you're thinking, this is too much, I can't deal with this anymore, ask for a spinal or an epidural or something. If it's gonna help you get through, do it. I love a natural labor. For me, I prefer it. I had a spinal with my first, and I liked it. It was great. I went for a very long time without it, and I kind of wish I would have just gotten it earlier, but I liked it. And then my second and third, I used the gas, and honestly I did not like the gas. My problem was once I started using it, I couldn't stop, and I found that I could not focus. Having said that, if you need something, use it. If you don't want to use something, say you don't want to use it, and the doctors and the nurses will be equipped to tell you if you absolutely need something or not. At least I hope so. Mine have all been fantastic so far. So just be prepared to modify your birth plan a little bit if you have to. My last tip, which I find was the biggest and most important thing for me as having a vaginal, natural, medical-free delivery, was learning how to relax. One of the biggest problems I had with my first baby was I was fighting my body. I was not allowing the contractions to do their job. I was fighting them. As weird as that sounds, you can actually fight your muscles doing what they're supposed to be doing, what they are already doing. By the time I had my second, I had felt that I had a picture in my mind of a flower opening. and I focused on that flower opening as though it was my cervix dilating, as though it was my cervix opening. That might sound completely and utterly ridiculous, but that's what I did, and it helped, and my labor with him was absolutely fantastic. I did the same as much as I could with the others. I found that when I would focus on something during the contractions, that I could focus on relaxing at the same time. It could be anything that you feel you need to focus on. If you just want silence, you want to focus on a picture in your brain, whatever it is, do that. I found with my last one, I didn't need to do it as much, but I used some other techniques instead. One of them is loosening your jaw. Okay, I didn't understand this before, but apparently your jaw muscles, for some reason, are connected to the relaxation of some of your lower muscles. So if you are able to just loosen your jaw, practice it or whatever, that helps to loosen the other muscles and permit your contractions to work better. I did, we call it low moaning. When you're in a contraction, sometimes you're going to make some noise, and if you're making a high pitched sound, usually that means you're not relaxing. You're tightening everything up. Try to practice just relaxing. Focus on the relaxation of your muscles. If you need to start from your head and move down, do that. But focus on relaxation, because that makes a huge difference. It also makes the contractions less intense, I found. When I was able to actually relax my muscles and relax my body and relax my jaw, whatever it was, I wasn't fighting the contractions. They didn't hurt as much. That said, here I am sitting here thinking about all these things, and I'm actually beginning to get a little bit shaky and nervous, because I remember it's not easy. It is hard work. It is so worth it, but it is hard work. And if you can practice and work on just relaxing yourself, making yourself relax is very strange. I have to say, it's a very strange thing. Preparing for labor. It is a big job. It is an important job. It is something your body is going to do with or without you. Just allow it to happen. And if you need medical intervention, of course, by all means, take and do what you have to do. But if you can go all natural, and you really want to do all natural, go for it. Those are my 10-ish ways that I prepare for labor, and I hope that maybe that list might help you to prepare yourself and prepare your mind and your body for what is going to be one of the most amazing and yet most difficult tasks that you will have to do, at least in my opinion. So thank you very much for watching this video. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe, like, comment, tell me what you would like to see in a video. Thank you very much for watching my video. I hope you all have a very blessed week.